everybody, it's another happy hour. This time we're a little bit later with our happy hour. We usually record about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but we're doing it late because our guest tonight has had a busy day at the brewery. We'll come to him in just a second. He's sitting there waiting very patiently. Of course, with me are my two hosts. I'm Phil Clark of the Britain Yankee Craft Beer Podcast. People keep reminding me, why don't you introduce yourself? Well, I wish to remain anonymous, that's why. But over to my left or right, depending on how this comes out in the video, is Mr. Ken McMullen from Hotspot Brewing, who is taking up Rat. Hello, Ken.
Who's what?
You're taking up Rat with that hat.
Is that a reference to my hat backwards? That's funny. Here's
So
Phil.
what are you drinking tonight, Ken?
I went with something I got from you, a little 93 octane Hefe.
Very good.
I was going to go to Binny's, and I was going to go down to Pollyanna Lemont and get a Pollyanna beer, but I ran out of time. So I went with a town that they have an establishment in.
St. Charles. Right.
St. Charles, right.
And then also down there, Dr. Dogs, which is Mr. Jay Rizicki. Hello, Jay. You're in the Brewers Lounge. What have you got for us today?
I am drinking one of my all-time favorite beers that our guest may or may not have a significant thing to do with this beer. Summerly, the raspberry wheat beer that it is one of my favorite beers of all time. I could drink it year-round.
Lovely beer for the summer. So without further ado, let us introduce our special guest. In the previous episode, we also had a VP of Operations. Today, we have a VP of Operations from Pollyanna Brewing, Mr. Ed Malnar. Welcome, Ed. How the hell are you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. You know, we're hanging in there just like everybody else, but, you know, every day's a day closer to the end of this thing.
So you are currently sitting in one of the locations, and tell us which one, because you got three, right?
Yeah, we got three. I'm in the Lemont location, our original location, but last summer we expanded into the taproom that I'm sitting in right now. So this is what we call our 435 taproom in Lemont.
Well, I haven't told you what I'm drinking yet, but hopefully you'll know this beer. It is Henry 2020. I'm going to crack that open here. And obviously all Pollyanna beers have a story. Well, not obviously, but they all do. They have a story behind them. And I know because Brian, the brewer, the head brewer, likes to do that sort of thing. And this is a Dunkel lager, Munich Dunkel, with prunes. So do you know the story behind this, Ed?
Yeah, the story is that Brian brews a beer for his son's birthday. So every year, Brian comes up with some type of lager beer because Brian's a big fan of lager beers, and he actually brews some pretty damn good lager beers. So he will brew a version of a German lager beer in honor of his son. So originally, his son was born last year. He brewed a beer then, and it was, I can't even remember what it was. It was a German lager with chocolate milk in it, or chocolate. I think it was called chocolate milk. And then this year, because his son Henry, and that's the name of the beer, Henry, this is the 2020 version of Henry, is turning a year, but since he was 4 years old, he was eating and drinking prune juice. So this is a Munich Dunkel with prunes.
Since he was 4 months old, I hope. You said 4 years.
Did I say 4 years?
Is he Benjamin Button? He's going back, you know.
Already, yeah.
Well,
No.
yeah, and I have to say that this is a real nice Dunkel lager with a little sweet touch to it. It's got a lot of mouthfeel. Really tasty. What are you drinking?
I happen to be drinking the very same thing.
Brilliant. Cheers.
Excellent.
A little side note to Henry. Brian and I talked way back when his wife was pregnant, and there was a slight chance that his baby was going to be called Jay. He decided to go with Henry. I'm not sure why, but so you guys might have been drinking a Jay tonight rather than a Henry.
Wow.
Well, that was
too.
That would have been really awkward, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay,
So,
so
Ed, I do have a question for you. You know, when I was introduced, I said something about Summerlee. What is the significance of the name, and who thought up the name Summerlee?
I'm glad you asked, because it's my contribution to that particular beer. I came up with the name Summerlee, and when we had decided to brew a raspberry wheat beer, gosh, this had to be, I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe 5 now. You know, we wanted to come up with the raspberry wheat for what was going to be our inaugural springtime event in the parking lot outside the brewery here in Lemont. And we were looking for a name, and everybody was looking towards the warmer weather. And my thought process was okay, so we want summer to come on, and what we're going to do is celebrate summer a little bit early. So this was early summer, and I said, well, let's call it Summerlee. So it's Summerlee.
ah,
I like it.
that's a
I think the
good
name is
story.
awesome.
Yeah.
Hey Ed, how is Pollyanna doing during this whole coronavirus thing that we're all enduring?
We're actually, you know, as early on, right, when all of this started happening, everybody was nervous about how things were going to go. And we didn't know where we were going to be at this point. We still don't know where we're going to be in a couple of months, but you know, we're in a better position than we thought we were going to be, all things considered. What has happened is that there has been a bit of a huge adjustment that's had to be made for all of us brewers, in that, you know, we were, in our case, and I'm sure in the case of a lot of others, we were relatively draft heavy. Everything was going out in kegs. And, you know, once the stay-at-home order was set in place, of course, all the businesses were shut down, and there wasn't going to be a lot of draft orders going out the door. So what we had to do is pivot and put everything in a format to go, whether that be crawlers or cans, which meant that we had to say, okay, well, we know we're going to do this thing. We're going to put it in crawlers and cans. How do we source enough to fulfill the demand? You know, we certainly want to do everything we can for anybody who comes to our door and buys our product and takes it home with them. But, you know, one of those things is, well, you got to have it, right? You got to have it in a form that they can take it with. So there was a bit of a pivot that we had to go through in order to make sure that we had enough cans and crawlers in place. And we were very fortunate along the way. I mean, earlier this year, we got ourselves into a position unknowingly to be able to meet this crisis simply by ordering crawler seamers for all of our locations, sourcing crawlers, and we bought a canning line last summer, a used canning line from our mobile canner. If we didn't have our own canning line, we would be in a really bad position right now. So a lot of things were very fortunate for us. So we're actually doing pretty good. You know, it's great to see people coming here, buying package to go, supporting us, supporting all the local breweries in this area. You know, it's quite fascinating the way that people have stepped up and made sure that, you know, tried to do whatever they could to support us and get us through this thing.
I mean, I just heard that Governor Pritzker today said restaurants with patios can open in phase 3. That includes hop buying. I haven't heard from the owners yet. It happened so recently that I texted them to see if they'd heard that and to see, you know, we need to get together and figure out when we're going to reopen. But I didn't hear what he announced. So do you know if that includes breweries with tap rooms, or is it just restaurants, or what do you think?
Well, what I've seen and what all of us have seen here, and it's been a very busy last 2 or 3 hours, was the email from Danielle D'Alessandro at the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, whereby it does apply to breweries as well. So if you have a patio and you're a brewery, this will apply to you.
And you have a patio, right? Because it runs alongside the canal.
Correct. Yeah, here in Lemont, it runs across the front of the building alongside the canal. We've got a really good sized beer garden in Roselle at that location.
That one's awesome.
Yeah, isn't it?
It is.
You know all about it. For those people who don't know, Jay used to run the tap room down there.
Jay had a lot to do with that, planning that out and decorating it and setting up events there. It's a really it's a cool place. So we do have that in Roselle, and then in St. Charles, there's a small patio.
I know about that, Ed. I know about that, Ed, because I walked past there when the river was rushing down, and there was a man who was putting the finishing touches to it.
Well, you've seen more than I've seen recently. Last I saw, there were some pavers and some steel posts set in place, and maybe a little fencing around it.
It looks lovely.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm looking forward to it. It's all we can get out there. That's all that was available to us, and of course, you know, you always want to maximize that outside space. Everybody loves being in an outside space. So we wanted to take advantage of what was allowed to us. And so we'll have that. I'm not sure what else we'll have. We'll still maintain our to-go beers. So, and not everybody's going to be comfortable coming into even onto a patio. So people are still going to be looking for to-go beers as well.
Well, as we record this, it's still just a couple of days after the rains, and as I walked past, the Fox River was rushing down, and the bridge that is opposite your brewery down there was closed. So hopefully that'll get open. People can get out there, and they can come to Lemont and Roselle as well. You know, in these shows, we always like to see whether or not you guys have beer fridges that we can look into, or beer coolers. So I want to ask you, Ed Malnar from Pollyanna, will you show us your beer fridge, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to do that.
Now, do you have to get up and carry the thing around? Are you disconnected?
I do. You know what? I'm not plugged into the electricity anymore, so I'm running on battery. So I know I can move the computer. I just got to put my phone in my pocket, so I maintain my hotspot.
Oh, you're doing a hotspot. Okay.
Yeah, this is all happening. I'm surprised it's working so well.
Ed, wherever you are, it's a hotspot.
Oh, nice one, Jay.
You got that right. Here I go.
All right, Ed's off. Give us a running commentary, Ed.
Well, I'm walking into the 431 tap room where our refrigerator is, which is like right behind me. So, I got to turn the light on.
Beautiful.
Want to get in close?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. What have you got in there? What delights does Pollyanna giving? I say giving away. what are you selling?
Oh, we got.
Uh-oh, we've lost Ed. Ed's fallen into the fridge.
And it's saying my internet connection is unstable. Is it unstable?
No, you're not stable at all, Ed. Go back.
Just wait.
Sorry.
Oh,
go
there
ahead.
we go. That's better. Now it's got it stable.
Stable. All right. My computer is balanced on a railing, and if it falls, it'll fall down the stairs. All right. So now what? So there's a overall shelf of Summerlee, which is probably our most popular beer right now. What's become even more popular is our Kolsch Dogma that we brewed in conjunction with the Northern Illinois University Alumni Association. So when you buy Dogma, part of that purchase goes to Northern Illinois University Alumni Association.
Who, Brian, one of the owners, is a graduate of there.
This is what's in my refrigerator. All this stuff.
Very nice.
All right. I don't want to overdo it.
Now grab your laptop before it tips over into the mash tun or something.
Yeah.
I got it. Is that good enough?
Can you see this?
Oh no,
Yeah.
hold it a little bit over. There we go. Hang on, what do you got?
2014. It's Pale. It's our homebrew club.
Oh right, and of course you guys were members of Pale,
Yeah, you might say that.
Yeah.
founding
We were
members.
more than members.
Yeah. Ed was the founding president, and we started it at Limestone, where down in Plainfield.
I'm plugging my computer back in.
Oh, all right, and you're back. Well, thank you very much indeed, Ed, for showing us your beer fridge up there. I'm assuming people can come in and get curbside and pick up and all the rest of it like everybody else. And if I go out to your website, I'm sure I'll find the details. So I will put that at the end of this video. We're glad to hear that you guys are doing well. And you should be with 3 bloody locations. Come on, guys.
Well, it's kind of scary, especially now, to have 3 locations. But it's been pretty exciting to build a business and add that 3rd location last fall. So, and they're all unique and they're all fun to visit.
Well, thank you very much for spending some time with us. I know you've had a busy day there at the brewery. Next time we'll be together, maybe with masks on your patio. So with my Pollyanna glass, thank you very much. I will wish you cheers, Ken.
Cheers for me.
Jay.
Cheers for me.
Ed.
Cheers, everybody.
All together. Cheers.